Hey everyone, so I'm going to be breaking down what a credit card is in the easiest way possible. I'm going to be giving you the pros, the cons of a credit card, and also if you stick to the very end, I am also going to be sharing with you a few recommendations for those of you who are interested in getting your first credit card as well. And by the way, this channel is no judgment, so if you ever have any questions at all, just jot them down below in the comments and I'll definitely get back to you as well. There is no such thing as a stupid question. So we are going to get started. So what is a credit card? So a credit card essentially is you borrowing from the bank, and every 30 to 31 days, you will get a bill from the bank asking you to pay the amount that you spent. So let's say for this month, you spent $500 and around 30 days later, you're going to get a bill that says, hey, you've spent $500, this is your payment. If you don't make the payment in full, meaning the full $500, we are going to charge you interest, okay? So you need to pay even more money on top of what you spent because you are borrowing money from the bank, okay? So the interest for a credit card these days is around 19 to 22%, which is extremely high. So it is super important that you do pay it off at the end of every statement, okay? That you are not carrying a balance. Otherwise, you could be owing thousands and thousands of dollars, which you would probably see if you watch Caleb's channel as well, which I'm going to link down below, that a lot of people are incurring a ton of debt through their credit card because they are not paying it off. How much can I actually borrow? Well, the amount you can borrow actually depends on something called a credit score, which is telling the bank exactly how good you are at paying people back, specifically the bank. So a credit score can range anywhere between a 300 to 850. 300 means you are doing extremely bad, you always miss payments, and that is really difficult for the bank to trust you and lend you money, okay? So someone who is in the 850 range though is saying that you've been making all of your payments in the past in full, and that, you never miss a payment, and that as a bank, I'm going to trust you fully and I can lend you more money because you've given me that insurance that you can pay it off. So how do you prove that you are trustworthy to the bank? There are a few ways. So for example, if you have a car loan and you can pay off the car loan in every single month in full, that is a good sign. If you have student loans and you can pay that off every single month, a great sign. A mortgage, credit card, anything like that where you are borrowing money and that you need to return the money, those are all great things in terms of building your credit score so that you can get a higher approval as well. Not just for credit cards, this works for anything like getting a car loan, getting a bank loan, getting a mortgage, etc. Basically, if you need to borrow money, your credit score is something that you want to keep growing and building until you are in like the 700s, 800s of the world. Let's talk about the pros of a credit card, okay? The first one I could think of is convenience. So for example, if you are traveling, a lot of places will take Visa, MasterCard, American Express. So you're not bounded by, let's say, your debit card, which does have like an international fee as well per transaction, right? So all of these fees could add up if you are using your debit card abroad. And of course, locally, you can swipe your card and it's just ease of convenience. You don't have to bring cash out and change and all of that, right? Super easy. The second thing that's great about credit cards are the rewards. As you know, I have so many videos talking about rewards. Essentially, you can get cashback rewards, you can get travel rewards, you can get discount for things, you can get a free Uber One Pass, Nexus Pass. There are so many different combinations of various rewards that you can get, and this is one of the perks that why I personally love credit cards is because you can get so much great and free stuff just from your everyday spending, so why not? The third thing is that credit cards, again, I mentioned, are perfect and great for building credit history, right? This is the easiest way to do it because you don't need to purchase a car, purchase a home, have a student loan, right? This is something that you could build every single day just through naturally getting groceries, naturally getting gas, paying off your hydro bills and things like that. So your everyday life, you can think of it as every little thing that you do is already contributing to your credit score. So you don't necessarily have to think too much about it. So we are now going to talk about cons and things that you should be mindful of if you are getting a credit card. The first thing is debt accumulation, okay? How the credit card works is for every single time you do not pay the full payment, you're going to get interest on top. and then on top, and then on top. There are people out there with $7,000 credit card debt, $30,000 credit card debt, okay? And the bank is not going to give you a break just because you say some sad story, okay? They will still come and get you, and the worst thing you want to do is be sent to collections, okay? So you have to be mindful, okay, that interest can pile on top of one another, and it's so important to pay it off in full. The second is overspending. Because a credit card is giving you a monthly limit on how much you can spend. Some credit cards can start at $500, some can go up to like $30,000, $40,000, some are even quote unquote unlimited as well, right? So depending on how much access you have, it is really up to you yourself whether you can control your spending, right? Knowing that your card can swipe $10,000 this month does not mean that you have $10,000 to pay it back. If you do, that's great, right? But if you don't, then this is how it goes back to my first point, where your debt is increasing because you cannot pay it off every single month. So the third thing to be aware of is the fees. So sometimes a lot of these credit cards have really, really fancy perks. They have like lounge access, and all of these very fancy things. You can get tons and tons of points, which is something that I personally enjoy. But also keep in mind that a lot of these cards do have an annual fee. So they could range from $0 annual fee. Some of them even go up to $800, $900 these days, right? So just be careful of how much you're actually spending to get the rewards, if that's something you're into, because I think there is that fine balance in terms of how much you're actually spending on fees versus the value you're actually getting that particular year. The last thing to be mindful of is applying for too many credit cards, okay? If you are applying for too many credit cards at one time, it will actually make your credit score lower. Because if you are thinking from the bank's perspective, right? Why is John Smith coming to me and asking me to approve like 4 or 5 different credit cards? Why is he suddenly in need of like $20,000, right? Why? This obviously raises a red flag. If you think about it as like your aunt or your uncle or a friend suddenly asking you, hey, I need to borrow like $30,000 from you this month, right? Obviously, it's going to raise a red flag, and you're going to wonder, okay, why does this person need so much credit or need to borrow so much money from me? So the key, if you are looking to get multiple credit cards for points purposes, right, then the idea is to kind of stagger them out, maybe one card or one application every 6 months. Sometimes some people would even recommend once a year, just so that it doesn't give that red flag of you desperately needing money for whatever reason at a certain time. If you like the tips that I've given so far, please give me a quick like and a subscribe. Would really appreciate that. And now to the last part is my recommendations for credit cards for beginners. So for beginners, I specifically chose credit cards that are very easy to get approved. They are a $0 annual fee, okay? So that it is very easy to get your foot into the credit card world without being too overwhelmed and calculating points and the value and the annual fees just sneaking up on you every single year. So these are my picks at this moment. They do change from time to time because, of course, different banks offer different things every single season. So for right now, these are my credit card picks. So if you're in Canada, the first card I recommend is actually the PC Financial card, okay? So this is a MasterCard where you're basically earning Loblaw points. If you shop at Superstore, Loblaws, Shoppers, those kind of places, you can get about 45 points per dollar, and I believe with Shoppers is if you have 8,000 points, you get $10 off. So this is a fairly easy way to collect points, and it's a no-fee card, and if this is something, if you shop regularly at this grocery store, then why not? The second card I want to recommend is the Tangerine MasterCard, okay? This is the Tangerine money back credit card. Right now, I think they're doing a promo where you can get about 10% cash back up to a certain amount. And then after this promotion, I believe it's 1% cash back, right? So again, this is a $0 annual fee. So great beginner card, great for students. I would recommend this, but again, not financial advice. So the last credit card in Canada I would like to recommend is the CIBC Aventura card. This is again a $0 card, and you are essentially earning points for travel points. You can redeem them for like iPads and stuff like that. So you are getting about 1 point per dollar spent, okay? So for those of you who are in the US, I actually have 2 credit cards to recommend. The first one is Chase Freedom Unlimited, where you do get 5% cashback, which I think is quite generous compared to the offers in Canada. So the second credit card I want to recommend is the Citi Double Cashback, where you get 2% back on select categories as well. I feel like these cards are all great credit cards for anyone who's just getting started, or maybe your credit score is not as high, and I think this is super easy to manage. It's not complex at all. So if you have any questions, please do leave them down below. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I answer all of the questions as best as I can. If I don't, I know that so many of you out here watching this video are also experts as well. So please do feel free to chime in. And with that said though, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about credit cards, and then you can get your journey started on maybe building a credit score. With that said though, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.